That's the one right there. We're live. All right. There it is. Live right there. Then you got to go here somehow. You can tweet out the link.
Tweet it all out.
Live. Make sure that's on mute. Share. I'm going to like our stuff. I'm going to share our stuff. Go here. There it is, folks. See what this is. Go tweet. He's live.
That little vocal.
It's nice. It's such a jam. Pace that.
This is a part of the song where the station would come in.
Yeah.
95.4 FM.
Dutch, how are you, buddy? I know we always kind of just
good.
Talk for hours, get set up, do all kinds of research. Much of the research today was OBS transitions that would look good for Seguin River Monsters games. I found some sweet sport graphics, but I'm extremely concerned that nobody's reviewed them or downloaded them in over 3 years. But
3 to 5.
They straight up look like ESPN though.
Maybe they're ex-ESPN plays.
I don't know. It's are you downloading a virus? It's $33 investment. If they did work, that would really make the broadcast look sweet. But that was most of the morning. What else did we F around with this morning? Get some taco palenque for lunch.
Yeah, I got me a little 4-pack of street tacos with some refried beans, you know what I mean?
Yep.
A little refreshing pink lemonade beverage.
Figured out a few things about OBS. We're always trying to up the game. Shout out to the Internet Baseball Writers Association of America. After much deliberation, I think my application was inside of the boardroom for the better part of 10 years. And they decided Turnstile's paid his dues. He's been on the front line in the trenches. We'll let him in. It's an elite group, great club. I actually didn't realize that you could become an IBWAA member. And it is awesome. And a lot of really cool bloggers and content creators and everybody else is... do you hear that feedback? Is that in your headphones? I don't know. I guess that's this. Let me turn that down. I guess that's that. You getting the bump music?
I listened to it on my computer. I didn't hear anything.
Is the bump music coming through on the computer?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Well, anyway, IBWAA, what's up, man? Awesome dudes. 3BGB trying to step up underground baseball. Initial shout-outs.
I think that's on.
Oh, is that because that thing's on?
TV, I think so.
Well, I got the TV on mute, right? I don't know. I'm getting something in my headphones that I think is different, but nevertheless.
There we go.
But you actually can hear the music
on
YouTube.
I'm sure it'll. Who knows? Something always happens.
It's always some different technical issue
some old
on a weekly basis. But you know what you gonna do. We have one other viewer because you're watching. There's somebody else out there. Thank you for tuning in. Shout-outs we like to throw besides the awesome dudes at IBWAA that saw fit. Much like Groucho Marx was I'm very skeptical if you're to be a part of an organization, any organization that would have me as a member, but nonetheless, there it is. MILB Hat Billy doing great things. Check out his channel. And then, of course, the boys at ATG are awesome. And I would just kind of want to say this because I can relate to these dudes. So it's great content, and this weekly show was just a memorial to their cat, and I will be a person who does not make light of that because that's painful to lose a cat.
I would say to lose any pet in general. Yeah.
Man, it's tough to... of course, Dr. Fuzzy, poor guy, but Jorge was a cat I had for about 11 years, and he got really sick, and I spent untold amounts of money on cat specialists trying to save that little guy. And, man, this is just cool pets, man. You don't really get over it. So condolences there to those awesome dudes. But check out ATG content. And their 3-year anniversary is coming up, Dutch.
You be correct. On the 16th, I believe.
Yeah. So go to Google, just type in ATG Baseball. That's what their logo looks like. Those are the two dudes. With what you can't see in the picture of these dudes is the baseball knowledge pouring out of their ears.
Oh, did you see that cool picture that Bonnie posted?
On Twitter or the Discord?
It was him and Jake right there. They were like...
oh, when they're young?
Yeah,
that was
cool.
Sweet. I like it when you
Homeboy,
go back.
I called him Homeboy. Bonnie was in his little baseball uniform.
Yeah. Those dudes are doing some really cool baseball stuff, and their show is like 10 minutes of absolute nugget dropping, so check them out. And then MIL Hat Billy.
The logo disappeared. It's gone.
Jake Whalen we got to have on again. We just got to give him a call and check in because he's up in the editor. He's writing because his process is very different. He comes up, does all this research. MILB Hat Billy does. And his videos are so well done. And then he writes his monologue. He's like, dude, you got to talk for 10 minutes. You can't just go off the cuff, man. You got to so he puts tons.
I mean, you could, but I'm sure you would just ramble if you tried that way.
Not that the ATG does too, but I mean, the way that Jake goes about making the stuff for MILB is awesome. And then, of course, the boys, the Seguin River Monsters, man, season's coming up. It just seems like it's right around the corner because you don't have enough time to get ready. It's 2 months of whirlwind. It's like 48 games in 2 months. It's insane. And
I think you get like at the most 2 days off sometimes between games. Yeah. I think that's if you travel, but if you have a home game, sometimes you don't even get a day off. You're just like, I mean, I obviously did do as much as you, but yeah, I was working all the time, but.
That's kind of the shout-outs. We'll tease segments in a second and then get into it, but I would say if anybody is looking for like a diet plan, because it was like 100 degrees every single game, like I kept the scorebook for all those home games, and I always write down the temperature at Smokey Joe Williams, and it was never. I think there was one day where it was 99. It was a drought last summer, but every day was like 100, 101 starting at 7 p.m.
My fucking pants, like, as soon as I got home, I had to change them because they were, like, white from the, like, where the sweat. It was just, it was torturous. It sucks that, like, I don't know how people would do the high school games there. There's no, like, fucking air conditioning or anything. To me,
it's just a dedication to baseball.
Honestly, though,
pay your dues in the booth.
It wasn't the heat that was that terrible. The seats kind of were, those are rough. Kinda.
Seating, yeah. I'm surprised, like this laptop and the A10 Mini, I'm surprised didn't melt. We got a couple of those fan things, but...
It's like a sun.
Yeah, the...
living in the sun.
Fade out of the bumper, but yeah, the old Seguin River Monsters. I'm getting psyched. I really want to do some things like always improve upon last year. I'm very close, bud, on our how-to video, which will help no one.
It'll help somebody. Somebody come across and
somebody who has this exact same gear setup.
I will say... It'd be cool to do, like, fan interviews during a game, too.
I think we can work that up.
Because, you always see them in MLB games where they go to a fan and they do whatever.
So, there's a cool dude named Cole who was the guy holding... Let me get Cole's name up because he's a cool dude. Cole, I don't know. Cole will DM me on Twitter and he's like, man, if you need somebody to call games. And I was like, I don't really necessarily know because... let me find this guy. Shout out to, he's in my messages. Where is Cole? So Cole Paviglio is like a student at Texas State. So he calls games and does stuff for him up there. But, I got to go to my thing. Check me out. You can't see what I'm talking about, people, because I didn't pull up my screen. We're learning new things. Oh, no. Let's do that. Can you tell me if that's centered?
Looks pretty good.
Dude, I can't.
So, shout out to Hat Billy and ATG. They're actually they said they were here, so we're like, what's up? But I posted this in the comments, but I'm going to say it out loud.
Yeah.
I feel like independent content creators got to stick together and they got to form like this bond.
It's DIY.
Because like once you get everybody together and like they form a relationship, you can create a lot of cool stuff together.
Everybody.
The way I look at it is we discovered some new bands and we're about to go on tour with them. We're about to tour the South.
Great people.
Go on a little tour.
They're great people. So this is the dude, Cole Paviglio. And I don't know what to tell you, but when you're talking about the fan interviews, when you were doing the tea drinking competition
at the game the
which
other day,
video I still need to post.
Honestly, I should have won because
you should have won. That dude poured it all down his face. That's not a win.
I drank it. They poured it out. Like they lost so
I mean, he drank it, but he poured 80% of it down his shirt. If that's what you got to do to win, but
I spilled hardly any. I was drinking it properly.
Also, the same game where Jose Gutierrez autograph.
That dude is jacked.
Dude,
if you looked at if you look at his arms, dude, he's fucking jacked.
Yeah, when he's like in the show in like 2 years doing Juan Soto stuff, be like, yeah, we know that guy.
He's gonna be hitting
monster.
He'll be hitting homers like Sammy Sosa without enhancements.
Arcereros, that dude needs no enhancements.
That's what I'm saying.
Also, check out his family because his family history. His father or grandfather Gerardo was the manager of the Arcereros forever. I think he's in the Mexican Baseball Hall of Fame. And then I think his dad is just like the coolest dude ever, and he's super humble, and he won't tell us that he probably had a Hall of Fame career in the LMB, and I've tried to look for it, and I couldn't find it. But I'm convinced, like, if your granddad, so like Jose's dad, Gerardo Jr., his dad was a manager of the Arcereros, and then his son's awesome at baseball. So you're telling me he was an accountant? No, that dude was an awesome baseball player. Probably we just don't have his numbers. But anyway,
when someone knows that much about the sport, I question them not playing it. Like they've had to play it at some level outside of like high school and stuff.
So if somebody find me something on Gerardo Gutierrez Jr. But no, so when you talk about that guy that was filming you that had the shoulder cam, I was like, dude, do you mind me taking some pictures of the gear? And he was like, nah. And he's a big dude. He was like 6', I don't know, he was like 6'4", 6'5", because I remember the camera being like kind of like up on the shoulder. And I traded DMs with Cole before, and then he DM'd me later. He's like, hey, were you the dudes at the game for the tea drinking? I was like, oh, snap, that was you?
When I introduced myself, I just told him my real name. I wasn't thinking, because like I do that a lot.
But that shoulder cam had that remote capability that could somehow go back to our ATEM Mini. I don't know if we need a better switch or whatever, but that's that cool. But I was like, I can never promise him like games to announce because I'm not sure which ones you're going to be at, and I don't know if we have Mike P back, who was awesome. But like I'm saying, people want to support Seguin River Monsters. I like to bring them in and give them time. But anyway, that's cool. Let me hide that web capture.
I will. I was my second time doing that event, the tea chugging event. That was my second time.
What'd you place the first time you did it?
I didn't win either. Because like every time I do it, I'm not a chugger. I can pound beers and stuff, but like I'm not a chugger. And every time I go I was like, hey, are you guys chuggers? Like, no, not really. Yeah,
San Antonio AA Baseball tea drinking competitions are straight lawless. You should just go pour it down your face the third time. Third time's a charm. Be like, you know what? You gave it to the guy. Because then when they don't give it to you, you'd be like, what I got to do? I drink it right.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a tea chugging practice montage video like Rocky, but with me drinking.
Just practicing.
And so like when I go to chug the tea again, I'll fucking knock it out in like 5 seconds.
Oh, and for those of you also, just like as we go down the rabbit hole, and we'll get to segments in a second, but the two dudes that were in competition with you at the Missions tea jugging were big Chicago Cubs fan.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know that guy who started the game was Mike Montgomery. Like, that guy has a World Series ring. He got the last out in the 2016 World Series. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, dude, you got to check out the Mexico, especially like spring training Mexican League rosters on who's where, because dudes move around. But yeah, that was Mike Montgomery. So there's your random baseball.
He was like, no way, dude.
Factoids for today. But shout outs to everybody. Anybody watching is on sound duty. It's like always a problem. Sound duty. We'll probably know when it's crashes, but we won't figure that until like 5 minutes after it's crashed.
Oh, the chain is San Antonio Missions Flying Chanclas.
That's sweet.
I have 2 of them. I have a blue one and a pink one, but It's just like I don't know what you call it.
That's a 5.
Hype chain.
You just got the hype chain at the. Was that the Monclova game we went to?
Yeah, I got this blue one, and then I got a pink one.
It's a flip flop, flying chonkless. Because I guess Hispanic mothers will throw the chonkla.
See,
and that's funny. I'm working on my
Hey,
Spanish.
mijo, don't make me get that chonkla.
Gotta be able to. We'll be covering some Mexican League stuff today, especially with Jorge Pasquel, which is probably a good segue to our segments. But I'll let you go first and tease what you're going to talk about, and then I'll tease, and then we'll just throw it back to you for probably lead off with the Tampa Bay Rays, who apparently can't lose. Go ahead, bud.
3 things that I really want to talk about, or at least discuss.
Let me get you some music in there.
Before.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is obviously the Tampa Bay Rays badass start to the season, 12-0.
162-0.
Dude, I could see us going all the way. No, but so we're 12-0 as of right now. We're currently playing the Boston Red Sox in the game right now. It's happening.
It's live.
But if we end up winning today, the last time a team started out 13-0 was the 1987 Brewers. So that's cool.
87 Brewers?
Yes.
I think the Mariners had a lot of brawls with that team, by the way.
I wouldn't doubt it because those old. What do you call them? Mariner teams were
fucking hated. The Mariners hated the Brewers. That was like a throwdown almost every time they came to the Kingdom. BJ Surhoff, dirty slide. I'm not sure what happened.
So that's
87 Brewers.
You got to talk about that. You got to talk about the offense, the pitching staff. We're balling right now. Of course, the Tampa Bay Rays always have a pitching staff. It's never. It's just sometimes a concern of offense, but they always have a great pitching staff. Second thing, obviously, is just talk about MLB in general.
Yep.
And then the third thing. I came up with a list of top 5 baseball players that I want to have on my bowling team.
That's sweet.
So if it was So if it was me and 5 other guys, these were the guys I would pick. Now this includes any time throughout history, current, former, whoever. But I have reasonings why, not just because this person was a good baseball player. Yeah. I have great reasons why. So.
Those are some good reasons. If I can, I don't know if I have it.
Other than baseball, I would say bowling is probably one of my favorite sports. And yes, it's a sport. Some people don't think it is, but it is a sport. You try to go bowling for an hour or two and tell me you don't hurt somewhere, your arms or legs or something. But yeah, it's a sport. It definitely takes skill and strategy like any other sport to play,
It does. I love bowling, and we've gone through entire Big Lebowski segments on this show.
It's like, to me, it's like bowling is number 2 and baseball is number 1 in terms of like sports that I truly enjoy. I mean, I watch football here and there, but yeah, baseball and bowling are the best. I went bowling. My wife and I went bowling like last week.
Yeah. What'd you shoot? What'd you bowl? As they say?
I would say my average is probably 130, 125, something like that.
Oh, that's a good average.
Now my wife, she bowled like almost 150 every time.
Goodness, you guys got your own balls and shoes.
Oh yeah, we have our own balls, yeah. Because the house balls, a lot of times they're the finger placement holes. They're always cracked. You scrape your hand. They never fit right, but
it's worth the investment. Even if you only bowl a few times a year, I think it's worth the investment for the ball.
People say
shoes, frankly.
Yeah, we need to buy our own shoes because like the house shoes. I mean, I don't have a problem using them. It's just, but you feel gross afterwards,
That's nice. So we're gonna do Rays top 5 bowlers.
That I want on
I'm
my
not going to
team.
guess if Mookie Betts is in that list because I know he's an awesome bowler.
Oh yeah, he's always on the Chris Paul of it. I watch that all the time. He's great.
You know who's a great bowler? Supposedly, Billy Martin. I mean, a lot of these dudes probably were. That was like a thing in the '60s. There you see Berra Rizzuto, Yogi Berra, and Phil Rizzuto's scooter had their own bowling alley, which sounds, I looked for images of it, it sounded totally pimped out. It was great. But
I do like watching like old baseball bowling clips.
Yeah.
It's always cool to see, like, sometimes you'll see the people smoking while they're between rolls.
Yeah.
Between frames. It just looks badass.
So that's pretty cool. Well, that segues somewhat into the things I got on tap for today's show. And then we'll roll it back. We'll roll it back into you for the Rays. Segments in rabbit holes. Anthony Turnstile has
Mookie's a beast.
Loaded up. So I guess it really starts with there's two threads today. There's Jorge Pasquel and his impact on the game of baseball in North America. He was a pioneer of the Mexican League, but he features big in so many other areas of baseball. So it's like it's back in the 40s when he was trying to raid Major League Baseball and do that. But and I don't have his thing up, his saber, but Dolph Luque, and there's just a thread on how many different dudes he had an impact, especially if you really look at as how the reserve clause ultimately got removed by the, I guess it's the Sites arbitration, which Curt Flood gets tons of credit for that, and he should. But it's pieced together really how many people had a hand in getting the reserve clause, because it was challenged before Curt Flood by a dude by the name of Danny Gardella, who was brought to Mexico by Jorge Pasquel. So very interesting dude who we'll cover. And I don't have his. There he is. There's Jorge Pasquel. Let's get that. Does that show up in right there? But that's one. So that leads to a lot of stuff with Sal Magley and Danny Gardella and reserve clause and integration of baseball, because he was bringing down Negro League players before Jackie Robinson and really just saying anybody can play regardless of who you are, skin color. So, and he is in the Hall of Fame, in the Mexican Hall of Fame, but he probably should be in Cooperstown. So that's that one. The other thread is a lot of Yogi Berra things going on. Everybody loves Yogi, so you can talk about the Berra-Rizzuto bowling lanes. You can talk about Dale Berra. You got me a really cool book on My Dad Yogi, which is, we're all Yogi Berra fans, right? So it's like a very cool insight into, and it's a great lead into the book, because it's like, I love my dad, you know?
Yeah, when I saw that, I had to bring it up here.
Man, it's cool.
So you
it's
could
cool.
see it.
I thank you for bringing it. So that's cool. But there's also, if you want to get psyched, so Amazon had that documentary on Reggie that came out. Pretty cool. And I love a good baseball documentary. So anytime they come out, you jump on them. But there is a Yogi one coming, and it's called It Ain't Over. And right now it's touring tons of film festivals. It's like Tribeca, Phoenix Film Festival. It's everywhere. So you want to talk about one of the most quotable dudes, but I think it's a lot more in-depth. So I'm very excited for the It Ain't Over documentary to be available on some streaming service.
By the way, Trey Roberts he said he wants to talk to us about the audio because his is a disaster. So I guess he wants to just
like ours is a disaster too, Trey. We'll definitely talk about it. There's so many things that could go wrong.
We'll set up a meeting or something.
We've had them all.
Chat.
Had them all go wrong. So those are the main two. Some Yogi Berra stuff, some Dale Berra stuff, and then the Jorge Pasquel rabbit holing, which is endless. And then, of course, college baseball roundup, a lot of Tuesday games. UTSA took down A&M. Texas State took down the Longhorns at Dish Falk. And I got to see some of my favorite River Monsters live on the big screen on the Longhorn channel.
They definitely went to the right school to play base.
Yep.
Texas State is a great baseball program.
It is good. It's good.
Just in case people ever did not know.
They got some grips. So we can talk a little bit about that. And then one baseball team I do want to highlight, which is pretty cool. And I want to say, I'm going to get it wrong, because I was looking at a bunch of, I don't just want to focus D1 all the time. Like I played everywhere. I played D1. This is how you do it when you bounce around schools. You play JUCO, D1, NAIA, kind of everywhere. There's a lot out there. But when I was at Lubbock Christian, they were NAIA, and now I think they're NCAA Division II, which I think is the Lone Star Conference. And if you look at the Lone Star Conference, there is a great baseball team there from Angelo State out in San Angelo. But that's kind of a cool story. When you look at San Angelo and look at their numbers, there must be some really great coaching down there, because high walks, low strikeouts, their numbers reflect their good record, and they're on top of the Lone Star Conference. But their coach was a guy, like most dudes get out, they get their degree in like education and grad degree so they can become a teacher. Then they start finding gigs around as assistant coaches and what have you. And then he got on. I think he was the very first coach at San Angelo as they started a baseball program, and he had a winning record that first season, and he's been coaching there for like 15 years, never had a losing record. So pretty cool. So I'd like to highlight Angelo State, even though
consistent
I'm
at
a
being
Lubbock Christian dude.
Awesome.
Shout out to Seguin River Monsters head coach Tony Perez. The most famous Tony Perez, in my opinion.
Would you say
wasn't part of the Big Red Machine, but he should have been.
Would you say this guy is going to lead Seguin to the promised land?
He is. And people are like, well, how old was Seguin River Monsters coach Tony Perez when the Big Red Machine was on? I was like, maybe he was like 15. I was like, he still should have been part of it.
You could play pro baseball at 15.
Tony Perez.
Put him out there.
And he came out to the game, too, when we went with the legend Mike G., the man who makes the River Monsters go. That was a fun time.
It was a great game, too.
Right.
Obviously, I was pulling for the missions. I was kind of I said this out loud. I didn't mean to because every baseball player on this level is good. But I was like, this guy's fucking trash because he blew the game, and it's just a natural reaction to say that about somebody. When your team is pitching and they give up a lead, you're like,
wink. There's that, and I can hide this.
It was a good game. Like I said, it was fun watching baseball in general. Yeah,
this is good. And
it sucks to see a team lose, but I had fun.
Where is it?
And I had that delicious. I had a beer and a brat. The way that's how you kick off a game right there is crack open a cold beer and a brat or a hot dog in general.
That's cool how you get like on this shot. Look, it's like the never-ending piping of image over here.
If you remember, I remember back in the YouTube days, they had that little thing like that where you could click on it, it would take you to somewhere.
So weird.
Like it wasn't a video. It was just like click this annotation. It'll send you to whatever. Yeah.
The missions for another show.
Yeah.
And I'm missing my season tickets because children, but the missions roster is pretty interesting. Jay Bell's kid is on there. He's a prospect. I like their center fielder. I think they picked him up from the Brewers or Cardinals. I can't remember, but he was barreling the ball. But there's some dudes on there, so. Double A Baseball. A few of those guys are going to be. A few of those guys we're watching are going to be up with the pods here at the end of the season. So, fun times. That's the show. Let's roll it over to you, and I want you to talk about historic. The
best
Tampa Bay Rays.
The best goddamn team
unconscious.
In baseball.
We need a PED test maybe after every inning if this is what's happening.
No.
But I do want them to go 162-0. Because that would be awesome. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I'm not going to bet on it, but it's,
Before we start this little dive,
let's give you a little
this little chit chat about the Rays.
People haven't noticed.
I just want to fucking say this first and foremost. People are criticizing the Rays because they're beating teams that are shitty. Look. Everybody plays everybody.
12-0 in MLB.
They can't help it that the teams they are playing right now in the first 12 games, 13 games, aren't as good as them.
Who did they play?
Boston.
That's a good team.
They played Oakland.
Wow.
But, you know what I mean? Everybody plays everybody.
And I'm not even saying Oakland. I'm not even saying anybody's bad. It's early. You know what? Oakland might pull a major league. Where they're just like, oh, you think we're a bunch of nobodies? Well, F you.
And I like Oakland.
Everybody loves Oakland.
In MLB The Show 23, that's who I'm running with. I mean, granted, my pitching staff could be a whole lot better, especially my relievers, but that's not the point. They can't help who they play, you know what I mean?
The Oakland, and there's a really cool podcast. I don't you can only listen and watch so much, but The Last Dive Bar was a good book, I think, on Oakland. I never really got to it, but flippin' A, man. Oakland's had this brutal stadium, horrible ownership, and Charlie Finley all these owners that don't want to spend, and just falling ass backwards into flipping world championships out there. They won 3 with the Raleigh Fingers, Reggie Jacksons, Vita Blues, all that. They're just kicking ass. Charlie Finley's like, yeah, I'm not paying you shit. Racking up World Series in the Coliseum, which apparently, by all accounts, Alameda, whatever the stadium's always changed name, sucks. It's just the worst. And then you get Billy Bean, GM. He has no payroll. And then you do all the McGuire, Canseco, Ricky Henderson. You just got dudes. Dave Stewart, you're just winning World Series. Tony La Russa is your manager. And everybody shits on the White Sox because Reinsdorf or whatever doesn't want to spend. I was like, I don't know if that bars you from bracking up world championships. The Oakland is a fascinating organizational study on. I mean, they got more World Series than dudes that are spending 5 times as much. It's kind of crazy. So, anyway.
But yeah,
It's not happy for him, but I digress. I'm sorry.
Very good. So yeah, because we played the Tigers Open, and then we played the Nationals, Oakland, and then Boston.
I watched the Tigers blow a game last night, so they might suck.
Well, I mean,
played the Jays and absolutely melted down.
Now, so I read this comment. I forgot. I was watching this guy talk about the Rays season, and like if the Rays had the payroll that these bigger teams had, dude, the Rays would be unbeatable like all the time.
Tigers are sucky.
Because it sucks that like the Rays always have these stars, and they can't keep them all because they have such a low payroll. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like if they could afford to keep all these people, we would have had dynasties. Like that 08 team, we could have came back in 09 or 09 and won probably. But
Who's the? I don't even know because people like to talk trash about owners, and it's always changing hands. You don't really know unless like it's like a Steinbrenner. Who owns the Tampa Bay Rays? And they're not Devil Rays, folks.
I wish
people
go
were
back.
worshiping Satan too much, and they had to take that off ownership group.
I wish they'd go back. I remember like when
Steve Sternberg,
because I'm from like Dallas and stuff.
48% plurality share, whatever that means.
I would always go watch the Rays when they would come up to Dallas to play the Rangers, and I remember going to the game when they were the Devil Rays, obviously, and it was and then the next year they're like, we're changing the name to Rays. I'm like, what the fuck?
Your owner, his job is he's an American investor. That's who your owner is. Like Nakatomi.
Yeah, he invests.
And the Dina Bay Stars and his private jets.
I don't want to
Nakatomi Corporation.
I don't want to talk about what we did to get him to sponsor us, but let's just say I won't do it again. And no, it wasn't.
Man.
It wasn't sexual acts. That's not what we're saying. I'm just saying what happened. I just don't want to do it again.
I don't know.
That's
I just think he hated the leadership at 97.9 The Cat, and he liked us, and we played golf with him and didn't really complain about his scotch drinking. And next thing you know,
I think he kind of thought we were cool because we would always bring him some Taco Bell. Those late night runs, remember?
I'll say this about Mr. Nakatomi. He's extremely abusive.
Yeah.
But because we don't speak Japanese that well, it never bothered me. I was like, dude, you're playing for this round of golf. You can get hammered as you want. Throw your clubs. He throws his clubs up in the woods. His assistant goes and gets it. I'm like, hell yeah, this is
what he
awesome.
called me?
What's that?
One day he got mad at me and he called me a taco twat. And I was very offended. I was like, sir, that's rude. And he didn't care.
Man,
I cried in my car for 12 hours trying to get over the fact, but
I'm down with Nakatomi Corporation, Mr. Nakatomi, until the day I die. He wants to fly us to Japan, go to Dina Bay Star games all day, bro.
He does run a tight ship. Is that the phrase? Is that how you say
He
it?
fires a lot of people.
He does.
It's like the Elon Musk and the Twitter thing. He kind of rolls like that. If he does a takeover, dude, just bring a cardboard box to your office because you're probably going to get fired the next 2 weeks.
He fired my friend Dan, who was an excellent mail room guy. I mean, he was so good at sorting mail, and he just let him go, and I'm really pissed. I'll never get over it, but I moved on.
Check this out. Frustration with Rays in St. Petersburg.
There's talk.
Where are you guys going to move to? San Antonio?
There are some people on Twitter that are talking about, dude, move to Orlando.
I know we can't sustain ourselves like this, quote.
Yeah.
It hasn't gotten better. If anything, it's worse.
Here's my problem with the Rays. It's like people...
this is 2011, this quote. What about a 2023 quote?
Here's my problem with the fans of the
Rays.
Rays.
He resides in New York. Is it going to be like 3 teams in New York like the old days?
Maybe. Ooh, the Brooklyn Rays, huh? Check it out. Oh, no, hold on. Here's what you do. You move the Rays to Rochester Rays.
Yeah, Rochester Rays.
Good old double R. Not double A like Arn Anderson, but double R. The Rochester Rays.
So here's one of the conversations, according to Wikipedia, which is never wrong, because he lives in New York, right? So he's not even a Florida dude. Bring the Rays back to Montreal, which would be sweet.
The people of Montreal don't want them. You know why? Because they tried to do that split where they were thinking about playing half the games in Montreal and half the games in Tampa, and people in Montreal was like, no, thank you.
I mean, it would suck for Tampa, but I'm just saying I've been to Montreal, and that is a cool flipping town.
It's a nice cold beverage. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, that's sweet. That's a cool town. Oh, and remember that play call from the... Oh, man, it was like the Quebec... That French play call in the Frontier League championship game. That was like the best French play call ever. And then all the announcers were like, do you understand French. As I was trying to like act like this is like the greatest thing. I was like, no, I really don't understand French, but
I speak French.
The
straight up.
I want to say it's a Frontier League, but I could be wrong. Or it's not the Pioneer. Pioneer was Montana, but like, yeah, I think it was the Frontier League. Like Independent League champions was the Quebec team, and it was like the Quebec Capitals. And that fucking call from those two French announcers was just should just revisit that.
Did you
if
see
I could
that the
find
first
it.
pitch the other day that Pedro did? He had the Montreal Expo jersey on.
Did he?
Oh, it was fucking sweet.
Where'd he do that?
I'm not certain, but I think it was Toronto. I could be wrong. Don't fucking quote me or.
I bet it probably was, right?
I guess, yeah.
Maybe in Canada. I got camera on you. I'm gonna see if I can find the
fucking Pedro.
That play call.
Pedro, I'm gonna whip your ass, Martinez.
Let's see if I can spell Quebec.
So while you're looking that up,
I'm gonna do that. There's no way I'll be able to find it. Oh my gosh.
So right now.
But you do your thing. So the Rays 12-0. Do you want to highlight some Rays stats that are just aberrations this early in the season? Because that would be good to talk about. Because usually there's somebody just unconscious, like hitting 600 or something. I don't really know.
Right.
I haven't been following much.
Do what?
Haven't been following the Rays much, other than I know
should.
they're on fire.
And by the way, before I move on here, we are welcoming any bandwagon fans that wants to hop on right now.
Gotta have bandwagon fans. I'm one of them.
We know that they'll jump off when they lose, but whatever.
Capitales. I don't know how to say it. Capitals de Quebec. I'm gonna flip and find it, dude. You got to go back to the end of last season, though.
Obviously, Wander Franco is beast mode this year. You know, he always is.
Dude, you guys' lineup is pretty stout.
And then you have I can never say Arozarena properly. I struggle.
Yeah.
But he's good. Of course, Sugar Shane, the pitcher, McClanahan. And then yesterday we had an MLB debut.
Yeah.
By Taj. I forgot his last name. I should know it, but I forgot. But he did pretty well. He pitched, I think, like 6 innings it was. Yesterday was a good game. We were ahead 8-1, and then, Boston came back and got it down to 8-7. Unfortunately, we held on. But, dude, yeah, it's a great team. Pitching, hitting. Obviously it's not going to stay this hot, but dude, ride the fucking wave while you can.
Arozarena is the guy, like, if you're the non-Rays fan like me, he's the one guy who keeps like popping up like in the postseason where you're like, dude, you can't even throw to him. He did the same thing in the WBC.
Because as of right now, we're leading the league in runs. As of right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, because that's fucking cool, dude. Like leading the league in runs, that means you get dudes on base and you drive them in, but.
Yeah. I got to find it. I almost found it. I'm not sure if this is the...
And he has that cool pose now where he does like the arms thing. Like that's like his thing.
Yeah.
And there's like every game, there's always these random people that are like, Randy. And to me, it's like, yo, like that's cool, but like Franco's also amazing. And everybody's like, oh, Rosarena's kind of like taking over the superstardom of the team.
Man, I don't know what happened to the...
But...
Yeah, Arozarena is everywhere. I'm trying to find.
And I mean, Yandy Diaz, whatever. Diaz is also a great player.
Yeah.
A first baseman. Like we have great players. You can't forget Brendan Lau. Dude's a stud.
I don't know where they got that thing, but yeah, they're going off.
Of course, you have Christian Betancourt. He's also a badass dude.
Betancourt. Who's the guy? Yandy Diaz. And your favorite guy's gone.
He-Man Choi. He went to Pittsburgh, which is funny because years back we traded Archer to the Pirates too.
Yeah.
And like when Archer came back to the Rays, people were all hyped up. I'm like, dude, this guy is, as far as like pitching goes, his career is fucking shitty. It's dead. And they all hyped up, like, oh, welcome back. Like, here he comes. Like, he's not gonna do shit. Like, I wasn't even hyped up. It was cool that like he came back to where he started, but sometimes I think people's fandom with players override the fact that they're not going to do anything. Like, he's not going to bring the team any wins, dude. But that was years ago, whatever. But yeah, He-Man Choi, unfortunately, his numbers were going down, so you had to do something, right?
Man.
What?
Yeah, I'm probably never going to find it then.
Who
I'm searching mightily. Is this it? This might be it. I can't hear it here.
What are you talking
No. This guy.
He's like, hey, check it out.
You try to get the...
I mean, my
Nah, it's
favorite,
not
you
gonna-
know, I mean, obviously McClanahan is amazing, but my favorite is Jeff Springs.
Just Springs.
I like him, man.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop wasting time looking for it. Somebody take your day and find, if you haven't already heard it, the Capitals de Quebec play call for the walk-off win for the Frontier League Championship is phenomenal.
Right now, the Rays are losing in the bottom of the fifth, 3-1.
Is that going to be their first loss? They're
To
going
Boston.
161-1. It's not a bad, not a bad record.
But don't worry, dude. We're playing in Tampa. We have time. It's only bottom of the fifth, so we're good.
Yeah.
I'm not like, oh God, we're losing with 3-1. It's over. Like Boston's kind of a shithole right now. They're not that great.
But they got Masataka Yoshida,
I mean, they're gonna turn around and win
Oryx
some
Buffalo's
games. but-
hero. If you didn't see him go off in the NPB Japan Series last year, and I know these dudes are loving it in the States because they're getting paid 5 times as much. So well earned by Masataka. But good stuff. All right, should we throw it over to me for a mini segment, and then we'll go back to you for the bowlers? Is that how we want to do it?
Sure.
Because I like the Rays segment. You can chime in with any Rays stuff that you want.
If we, yeah, okay.
All right.
The Rays, I love that team.
I'll do pick your poison. I'll let you pick as
For you?
I find bump music. So you got. We can usually wrap with college baseball at the end, but
Go with 6. That'll be your music.
Do you want to do Yogi Berra, Dale Berra stuff, or do you want to do Jorge Pasqual and the insane? Because that's my biggest segment, the insane Mexican League stuff.
Is that the one with the knife?
Oh yeah, it just goes forever.
He's got a knife.
Because then
yeah.
it goes into Dolph Luque, and it's endless. But I'll try to keep it semi short. There's that. We can do college baseball, run around. We can do Jorge Pasqual and all the lives he's touched in baseball, or we can talk Berra, Yogi Berra.
Me personally, this is just me. I like the Mexican League because I want to hear about the crazy stories that you were talking about earlier.
Okay.
Because you were cracking up hard with some of the shit.
There
that
was so much
happened.
crazy stuff. Okay, so here's the rabbit hole. I don't know what camera we're on, whose camera we're on. Probably on somebody. We're still on you over here. Let's go like this.
Focus
So,
on me.
okay. And this is the beauty of like Saber and all these other baseball content creators who I just want to be like, I mean, I'm not doing this because I just love baseball. And I think all of us do this baseball nerdery, and guys like ATG, and we just, Dutch Chattahoochee.
I'm nowhere near knowledgeable as you guys.
Well, but I mean, you love the game, right?
Oh, yeah,
so it's
I love
it's a
baseball.
love of the sport, and whatever level of knowledge you have, baseball is welcoming to all, and you kind of start getting into the community, and you just have like friends
Yeah.
with similar likes. Like the Seguin River Monsters thing is so beautiful because it's like Mike G and Scotty B are out there doing it, obviously, and you're losing.
Bonnieville's.
Yeah, you're losing money.
lost.
Putting on a summer baseball team. So people are just doing this because they love baseball, and have taken the time. And I also shout out. So this guy's name is Peter C. Bjarkman. I'm going to say it wrong, but it's Bjarkman, and he's passed away. But he was absolute encyclopedic knowledge. Saber member who did bios on a lot of dudes from Cuba, but also like Latin American baseball and things like that. But he wrote a number of great bios, but one guy in particular is kind of like a Rosetta Stone level dude in the history of baseball, and his name is Jorge Pasquel. And you can go find his bio on Saber, written by Bjarkman, and it is phenomenal. And I'll go to it now, but I'll paraphrase some of the highlight points in there and rabbit hole from him to a couple of the guys that he brought to the Mexican League, and then dudes who crossed their paths. So it goes somewhat like this. Jorge Pasqual, also Marine Corps connection there. I don't know if my Marine logo here, but he grew up in Veracruz, Mexico, which was invaded by the U.S. military during the Mexican Revolution, and he might not have had a favorable view of the United States because they were like hiding in their basement while Veracruz got bombed and invaded by U.S. Marines. So I don't know, but that's in the bio.
We're going to say if it's in the bio, it's true.
So
it's facts.
But, I mean, if you look what he tried to do in the 40s, he became very prominent through his father, successful business people in cigar business and all kinds of other stuff. But anyway, by the time he was, like, in his 40s, dude, he was already kind of like a really big multimillionaire, Bill Gates type of dude in Mexico. His, I think, brother-in-law was the president. And then he got his hands on the right to control or deal with, like, Mexico oil exports. Like, this dude had mountains of money, and money was not an issue for this dude in the 40s. And if he was taking aim at Major League Baseball or taking aim at America and its favorite pastime, I'm going to take you down. He was angling to be a direct competitor, not some kind of like AAA league. He's like, I'm going to be bigger than the MLB. I'm going to do like a continental league eventually and like start getting teams and cities in the U.S. and do this. So he had very, very big plans. And there's like some issue with like the war ending around 44 and 45 players came, and he offered so many MLB stars to come to Mexico with like double the money. And one I remember was like he offered Ted Williams like twice what Williams was getting paid by the Red Sox. So that kind of move. And of course, a number of those guys, if they weren't feeling the love from their organization, totally took them up on it. One of those dudes was Danny Gardella. Another dude was Sal the Barber Magley. And that kind of leads into how we'll be talking about bringing a switchblade onto the field and getting in fights, but which Sal didn't do, but one of his mentors, Dolph Luque, did. Some awesome things for baseball, but there's this sort of stereotype that got attached to Dolph Luque. I'll digress. I'll get to that later. But anyway, so this guy gets a number of Major League Baseball players down to Mexico, bud. And Danny Gardella was one of those dudes. And Danny Gardella features... Okay, before we talk about the MLB guys, let's just talk about the fact that the dude was obviously helping integrate baseball because he got a bunch of Martin Digo. He got a bunch of Negro League stars down there because he's like, I don't care. I'm a racist. Don't care about the color of your skin. If you can play ball, this is going to be the league to be in.
Like the Price is Right, come on down.
Yeah, Josh Gibson, like all these superstars.
Gibson was a beast.
Would come play in this very same Mexican league, and so the first truly integrated league. So he's a pioneer in that way, but the Danny Gardella and this signing of players, MLB rightly viewed, even though the league went belly up after a few years, as a huge threat. So it did a couple of things. One was it improved a lot of conditions for Major League Baseball players because they're like, oh, dang, we better raise the minimum salary. And they did a handful of other things that really benefited the dudes in the MLB. The other thing that came out of Jorge Pasqual's threat to MLB is they banned dudes from going to the Mexican League, and you had a 5-year ban. And that affected guys in various ways, and Magley had to do it, which you don't think about because he had a pretty good MLB career. But Danny Gardella lost time. He came back and tried to do it, was essentially blackballed, and was like barnstorming in the States. They said you can't play. Out of that came a lawsuit, and that lawsuit between Gardella and essentially Major League Baseball was attacking the reserve clause in this ban. And it got to the point where it was my understanding that MLB told, like, you settle, because if this thing really goes the distance, it's going to get ruled on, because they had a good idea that the reserve clause was illegal. It's like they're going to rule on the reserve clause in this Gardella thing, and that's going to blow it up, and that's really going to mess us up. So we don't want that ruling. Just settle out of court with Gardella. So
Gardella sounds like that cheese company.
Yeah, and so the Danny Gardella litigation was known about by the whole Curt Flood thing and they could see that there was indications from the judiciary that this reserve clause ain't gonna last. Curt Flood lost, but like shortly it brought the attention to it and was remedied by the whatever cites arbitration. So it's like none of that. I don't know if that happens in that way if you don't have this guy Jorge Pasquel doing all this monkey wrenching and trying to get this league going and steal players and really challenge MLB on their basically a monopoly. So that's really interesting about that guy. But when you look at some of the dudes that went down there, and I don't know how I went down the Sal Maglie thing, but here's one thing about Sal Maglie that's kind of cool. So Maglie was Sal the Barber, right? You'd throw the brushback pitch. And I don't know, dudes are pimping homers. There's like old boomers or whatever, guys like me who is like, there's a level of pimping that's acceptable, and then there's a level of pimping that's maybe egregious, and it's like a look at me moment.
I love it all. That's just me personally. Like, I don't mind a little like personality.
I don't mind it, but I also thought it's cool that guys were scared to step in the box against Drysdale and Gibson. I liked that there was a fear factor. I think that's a cool, competitive sport thing.
They didn't want to get drilled?
Yeah, it's like you had a policeman out there with a baseball in his hand, and Bob Gibson was like, "Oh, you gonna be throwing bats and pimping? All right, that's cool. I'll see you. I'll see you in a couple innings again." I
do like that though. I wish they would make that a thing where you could hit somebody.
So yeah, the ability to like throw, and again, like it changes if you don't got to hit people, you can throw near people, and it gets them like they're not looking and protecting the outside edge as much. It was a big part of just strategic pitching. So Sal Maglie was one of those dudes who he's like, dude, you got to be able to throw hard inside. You got to be able to throw hard inside. It changes everything. And he had some really good years, but it wasn't until after he went to Mexico under the tutelage of a guy by the name of Dolph Luque, who was like kind of known for that aggression and pitching inside. So that's a really interesting kind of connection with Sal Maglie and his mentor Dolph Luque. But if you look at Dolph Luque, when you talk about two guys that need to be in Cooperstown along with Jorge Pasquel, Dolph Luque was like born in the 1800s. So he was like a baseball player, like kind of like early 1900s, 1910, and baseball segregated, right? So it was like dudes couldn't, it was just white dudes. And he was a Cuban, and he came up to the States and was like playing some like ball in New Jersey, and they saw him pitch. And the racism in place at that time is like, well, he's a Cuban guy, he's light skinned. And so he was like a huge pioneer where like, these baseball players out of Cuba really didn't start coming in for decades later, and Dolph Luque had an entire 20-year MLB career and had to put up with all the racist taunts and all the BS that went along with him being Latin American or like Cuban baseball player. So, and his Saber bio is what talks about the BS he had to put up with and the hot-tempered, the stereotype that was attributed to him as the hot-tempered, Latin baseball player, which is totally unfair, but he did apparently beat the shit out of Casey Stengel.
Would you throw at somebody?
Oh, you got to sometimes.
That's what I'm saying.
You got to.
I don't have problems. I mean,
you don't got to throw at heads.
Yeah,
you gotta throw at people.
I wouldn't do it to where they would physically hurt them, but it would wake them up.
Well, here's the thing. I probably didn't throw hard enough to hurt anybody, but it would be nice if you could get one in the ribs and make somebody feel some pain. But I think that's part of the game.
You're talking shit, you're going to get drilled. You know
so
what I mean?
once you go from the Jorge Pasquel Saber bio and run through all the dudes he brought down, which would take you from Sal Maglie and Danny Gardell and all that stuff, you find this Dolph Luque guy who was Sal Maglie's manager in when he was in the Mexican leagues, and Dolph Luque had this crazy career way before dudes from Cuba were doing it, and he got this like one because he is so well written by Bjarkman, but he was getting taunted. He just sets down his glove with the ball very carefully, and then charges into the New York Giants dugout and starts beating the shit out of people. And apparently he was trying to beat the crap out of a dude named Cunningham, and he ended up knocking Casey Stengel out. So that's a crazy story. But then it was like, oh, he's wild or whatever. And it talks about these stereotypes that got attributed because Juan Marichal grabbed a bat and tried to club a dude in a game, and it starts talking about I gotta find that portion because I did not know a dude brought a switchblade into a baseball fight, but we need to know about that. I think that's pretty important, right?
A pretty important part of the story.
Pretty important part of baseball history.
It's a big part, definitely. Instead of hitting with a baseball or something when he's up the bat, he just comes at him with a knife.
So I'm reading. I'm
dude, it's not that serious. Relax. You don't need to go take a knife to him.
So so knocks out. What's also interesting, I don't know if this guy's got something against Casey Stengel.
It says the image has, of course, been reinforced.
It says charged straight to the New York dugout to thrash flaky. That's a funny adjective. Flaky Giants outfielder Casey Stengel to within a half inch of his life.
So is the Giants guy, Casey, is he a fucking flaky guy? Is he shady?
I don't know if he's flaky or shady. He won a shit ton of World Series as the Yankees managers with Mickey Mantle and DiMaggio and all the rest. So Stengel's a legend, but...
you can call me flaky, but I have titles, bitches.
So it talks about this stereotype, this quick-to-anger, hot-blooded, Latin American stereotype, which is totally unfair. But then it talks about, there's video of the Juan Marichal once brained Dodger catcher Johnny Roseboro. And then it talks about Ruben Gomez was equally infamous for memorable headhunting incidents featuring Brooklyn's Carl Furillo, Cincinnati's Frank Robinson. And it says Gomez once plunked heavy-hitting Joe Adcock on the wrist, released a second beanball, as the enraged Braves' first sacker charged towards the mound, then retreated to the safety of the dugout only to return moments later wielding a lethal unsheathed switchblade knife. That's a baseball brawl.
Now, I would have never said this to him at the time, but he's probably either really old now or dead. But
yeah.
What a chump! It's like you go and hide and then you come back with a weapon. Come on, man. Face him right then and there.
I'm not saying it's cool or not. I'm just saying it's mind-blowing. You're like, wait, what?
I
don't know. You just took that to the park and just had it for personal safety. He's like, you know what? That's in my bag in the locker. Let me just go finish this. Obviously, you're super pissed.
The situation itself was hilarious, but at the time, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Crazy. But the Dolph Luque and Jorge Pasqual, who died young in a plane crash, are really amazing, really, really lengthy, amazing bios on Sabre. Can't say enough about that. Just fascinating reads if you have the time. And that's that. But, and Bjarkman, if I'm saying it right, I apologize, man. You do some amazing work. The late Peter C. Bjarkman essentially argues, he's like, dude, I could be biased, but both these guys deserve to be in Cooperstown. They were that big of a deal in the history of baseball and what they did for baseball really in North America, not just Mexico or Latin America. So pioneers of the game, did all kinds of stuff to shape the game, and really cool Mexican League stuff. And if you're not checking out the Arcereros, Jose Gutierrez is down there doing great things.
Game update. Bottom of the fifth, Rays have came back 4-3. We are now leading.
13-0, dude.
So we are now leading 4-3 in the bottom of the fifth.
All right. Well, I'll bump out on that because I could go forever, but I'm just recommending to people. Those are names I obviously didn't know that well, but a lot of dudes attribute stuff to those. Magley was like, I was a different pitcher after I got mentored by
this song
Dolph
reminds
Luque.
me of Joe Dirt.
Yeah, it's my Joe Dirt song on the way out.
I always crack up, like, the funniest movie is that part.
Yeah.
The Kid Rock, that character that he plays. Like when he said, what's the girl's name in that movie?
Yeah.
The girl.
Oh, yeah, that chick was super hot, too.
Brandy or something.
Brandy was...
Well, he's like, hey, Joe, she left you a letter. He's trying to read it. He's fucking struggling to read it. She don't like you no more.
Is that Kid Rock's in there playing the bad guy?
Yeah. Kid Rock is a piece of shit human being, But
people aren't agreeing with his politics. I'll say that. I don't know the guy.
I will say he was funny in Joe Dirt, but at the time he wasn't so much of a douche. But
everybody loved Kid Rock. I defy somebody to say
I did not. I've never liked Kid Rock. Like back then, I didn't like his music. I thought it was terrible. Now
he was a rock star when we didn't have any rock stars.
Here's the thing, though. I was a huge Limp Bizkit fan, and I still love Limp Bizkit. Keep on rolling, baby. You know what time it is. But yeah,
either
Limp
dropped
Bizkit,
out or kicked out of the Naval Academy. But
I still love Limp Bizkit. Yeah, back where there was a time where it was like either you like Kid Rock or you like Limp Bizkit. It was weird. The school I was going to.
You couldn't like both?
Well, this was like grade 7 or something. Yeah, it was like my school personally anyway. There was like a lot of people either Kid Rock or Limp Bizkit.
Let's get the camera on you.
It was a weird like rival. It's like it was Kid Rock or
that is
Limp
weird.
Bizkit. And then of course there was those weird kids that listened to Slipknot and those kind of new metal bands, but.
Yeah, that is weird. For those wondering, that hotline is a magic jack to the red phone. Call anytime. We think we can get it into our soundboard, or leave us a message in the middle of the night, and we'll talk about whatever you want us to talk about.
What are you wearing?
But now let's segue into bowling. I think that's what we need to do.
Oh yeah, dude, Fred Durst is fucking awesome. Hat Billy was like. Big, yeah.
We already used that one. Let's use this.
I'm not a huge new metal guy, but Limp Bizkit for sure.
It's not a bowling song either, but we only have so much. We didn't do Bumpy. Is the same Bumpy as
I think with bowling, there's really no wrong way to put for a song. Because, if you're at the bowling alley, you always hear all kinds of stuff, so.
Yeah. Should put the Bob Dylan song, the opener, The Man in Me. It's the greatest bowling song. But
I never got into Korn.
Those dudes.
However, I will say a funny story real quick. Speaking of Korn, when I used to backyard wrestle, "Make Me Bad" was my entrance song.
Remember those dudes? Slipknot that wore all that crazy shit on there?
Yeah, I like some.
They were huge, but I was like,
yeah, I like early Slipknot, but
it's like good. It's like you could just go to Starbucks if you're in Slipknot. Nobody would ever. Nobody would ever know.
Because I remember, like I was saying,
lead guitar.
Like I was saying earlier, in grade 7, there was like a lot of Slipknot fans, and they were I always considered them weirdos. I was like, those guys, new metal people, are weird. But
I wonder if anybody ever used that, like, just to lie at a party to get laid. They're like, "What do you do?" It's like, "I'm the lead guitar for Slipknot." Nobody would ever know.
I mean, it's true.
Just
or
like,
you back to you
sure
like,
you don't. Nah, I just put on the mask or whatever.
All you had to do was spike your hair, wear some like boots and some.
No, their masks were like elaborate. I don't know how they got that shit, but
yeah, I think they still play sometimes. I don't really know, to be honest.
I don't know. I never got into them. It was a little bit too rowdy for me, but it's also one of those things where if you tried to explain it to people before you did it, because I remember, because I'm a huge Wu-Tang fan, when
Wu-Tang,
I forget which like producer they were trying, like RZA was trying to explain the Shaolin monk. And that Staten Island was the Shaolin, and everybody was going to be like a kung fu master name, and he was like, we're going to have this whole album that's going to be the Wu-Tang Clan, and obviously in the hip hop world, that was just like over people's heads. They're just like, dude, I have no idea what you're talking about. Kung fu and rap and Shaolin, what? And then made it work. So Slipknot was like, okay, we're going to rock really hard, but we're going to fucking have like 20 dudes in the band, and we're all going to have different really elaborate masks.
They had like 2 drummers. They had like a traditional drummer. They had that one dude that just beat on the stand drum things.
The bongos? There was a bongo?
No, it wasn't bongos, but it was like just like, I think it was like 2 or 3 big drums. They were just...
It's crazy.
Slipknot, to me, sometimes bands have way too many members. Like, I'm a ska fan, and sometimes you'll have like 20 dudes. And you have those ska bands too, where they have the random dancer who just dances the whole time to kind of pump up the crowd. I'm like, that's got to be a brutal job.
Let's talk. We derailed. We'll go bowling, Kingpin, Big Lebowski, and Bear Rizzuto bowling lanes.
And Jason Belmonte. No.
Because that'll segue right back into my Yogi Berra segment. So we'll just do. What do you think? Let's do we were playing with graphics. I was going to have a sweet swipe to the Dutch Chattahoochee top 5. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that'd be cool. Have some cool
Chattahoochee top 5, and then like it comes spinning in and be some awesome graphic.
Oh, like Sports Center, they would have back in the day they'd have the voice that was at the like top five hits or whatever the fuck they said. Yeah. I don't know.
But give us your top 5. And we'll rock into it.
Starting from the bottom and working my way up. That's how we're going to do this.
Okay.
Top 5. So if there was a team of 6 bowlers, me and 5 other guys.
Yep.
From MLB history.
6 guys per bowling team. That's not good.
Yeah. From now, back then, whatever. So we're going to start from the 5 and go up. And I think this list, you're going to love this list, dude. It's going to be fucking great. So number 5 is Kevin Millar.
Millar would be perfect. That's a great.
And here's why I'm having Kevin Millar as one of my team members.
Yeah.
Because everybody needs a guy on the team that cracks jokes and just has a good time. That'll be that guy. You know? Talking to everybody, cracking jokes. And so therefore, if you're winning or losing, it won't matter because you're just having a good time. So he'd be like the comic relief guy that you need on your team.
Everybody loves Millar.
Yeah, Millar's cool.
Yeah. Millar.
Now, number 4 is Babe Ruth.
Babe. I bet he was a good bowler.
Why are we having Babe Ruth on my team? Because we're gonna sit there, drink some beers, eat some hot dogs, and just have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
So he's gonna be the guy drinking beers with you.
So Millar, Babe, that's a hell of a bowling team.
So like in between frames, where you're talking to Kevin Millar and Babe Ruth,
yeah.
You're just drinking beers, talking, laughing in between frames, right?
Okay.
Number 3, Jamie Moyer.
Jamie Moyer.
Let me explain why we're having Jamie Moyer on my team. He's not the fastest thrower, but he knows how to strategize. Correct?
Yep.
So like he's gonna go out there. He's like, look, I'm not the hardest thrower. I can't curve it too well, but I'm gonna strategize to the point to where no matter where I put this goddamn ball, it's gonna knock it down all the pins. So he's a strategy guy. He's like the old guy who he kind of takes his time bowling, but he gets great scores.
Did Moyer retire on his own? Because he threw.
I think so.
He could still be pitching right now.
Yeah, of course, dude. Because he wasn't like a hardcore heater.
Yeah, he didn't need the heat.
Yeah.
Like, how hard would that be to hit Moyer if he's up there just throwing like 71 every pitch?
Dude, hey, it worked for him for a long time. I was reading somewhere that apparently in high school, though, he could throw hard.
He did throw hard at one time, but...
He's like, you know what? I'm just going to make my career last longer and throw light.
Dudes are ripping, but they could hit the, 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Ain't fooling anybody. He's like, dude, you slow down.
So, yeah, this is definitely the pro on the team.
Right. So we got Millar, Babe, Moyer. Who else we got?
Number 2 is Aroldis Chapman.
All right. What? Didn't he go off, though? Is he, out of baseball?
Last that I remember, he was on the Royals as a reliever.
He, walked out of... What was his deal? He did some shitty things with the Yankees. He was like, I'm not even going to show up to the ballpark. It was like a playoff game.
I don't know exactly. I think it may have been abuse of a woman. I don't know. I think that's what I heard.
That one you can't guess on. You got to know before you say that. But
yeah, that's why I said I think. I don't really know.
What's there's always one, Wikipedia will have the controversy. The controversy. Cubs, they have the 22nd stint with the Yankees. 2021.
Yeah, the Royals,
went on the injured list, and Chapman missed a mandatory workout before the American League Division Series and was left off the postseason roster. That's what I remember. It's like, dude, it's the postseason. It's a mandatory workout, and he dude went AWOL. Kind of crazy. So anyway,
so
Chapman's a bowler though.
So Chapman, the reason I have him on my team is he's not necessarily gonna be as far as the best bowler, as far as in terms of
oh, he did have domestic violence. Look at you.
Yeah, I love Chapman, so I kind of remembered that whole thing. But so this guy, he's not gonna have the best strategy, the best technique, but dude, this guy's gonna throw heaters down that lane, right?
Just blast.
He's gonna fucking chunk that bowling ball 100 miles an hour, and just all the pins are gonna explode. You don't need to fucking curve it or nothing. Just
blast. I'm kind of just a straight bowler. Just if I can hit that head pin, I'm.
That's how I am. He's like a bowling guy. No,
well,
the number 1 guy that's gonna fucking carry this team to the championship.
That's 4 guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the number 1 guy that's gonna carry this goddamn team to the championship is Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei.
And let me tell you why.
He can do everything one for one.
In bowling, you need to curve that ball and hit the 1 and 3 pin, that little pocket that makes them all fall. Right, there's a pattern.
Yeah.
If you hit that pocket, that one, I think it's the 1 and 3 pin, everything falls. So, because Shohei Ohtani has an amazing slider, also a sweeper pitch.
Yeah.
He'll go up there and he'll fucking every time he'll just curve perfectly and he'll get nothing but strikes. Shohei Ohtani would be a 300 bowler easily all the time. If Shohei Ohtani was to go and bowl 10 games, he'd probably have 11 300 games.
Here's the man.
Because you'll every time that curve will be so sweet, man. No matter what the oil pattern is, that ball is curving right into that pocket.
That man
strike every time.
That man can.
I will say that if he did have a bowling nickname, they probably would just call him Strikes because that's all he gets.
Well, look at that. What? Because it auto-populated Shohei Ohtani bowling ball, so I thought some mega fan made like a custom Shohei Ohtani bowling ball. And so I'm scrolling down here through the images under that search, and then look at this little headline. Michigan man finds 160 bowling balls. So we have to click on that. Under home.
I wonder.
Michigan man finds 160 bowling balls. Michigan man made a striking discovery under his house when he went to demolish his back stairs, about 160 bowling balls. Let's turn this jazz off. I don't need more streaming issues.
And this guy's the guy with the fucking
said he found one ball buried in the sand behind the center blocks this month and continued finding more over the following days. I'm actually a little happy about that because it's a little easier to roll bowling balls out of the way than to move sand and figure out where to put all that. The remodel's easier.
So I wonder if some point, if there was like it got demolished obviously, but there was like a bowling alley or something. And
oh, no way. Check. It goes, he contacted the maker of the balls, Brunswick Bowling Products, which had a plant in the area, and said they were made in the 1950s. He said former employees contacted him and told him the workers used to take scrapped bowling balls to use as an alternative to gravel or sand. They shut down the Muskegon plant in 2006. Olson said many of the balls aren't in good shape. They don't have finger holes and aren't polished.
What you do is you go get your fingers sized and polish them balls and fucking use them, dude. I mean, granted, the 1950 balls have a different material than nowadays, but dude, you can still in baseball terms, you can still rake. You could still use them and bowl like amazing.
He has donated some and plans to give some to the Muskegon Heritage Museum. He'll use the rest for landscaping or to make sculptures, according to that TV channel.
No, dude, I'm going to get them all polished and like my finger size. I'm rolling up to the bowling alley with 160 balls. I'm like, what's up? I got a ball for every scenario.
That's a great story.
Like, what's up? Like,
I like it. I like Shohei. He would be a great bowler. I think he'd be good at anything.
Because he has that cool, like, he's a really good slider pitcher, and then that new pitch is going around, the sweeper.
Yeah.
So like he would curve it so perfect, no matter what the oil pattern is on the thing.
Sweeper, huh?
And he could even go out there with no oil and just curve it like a son of a bitch, and just every time hit the pocket, just strike.
He can do it. Shohei,
like he would be the MVP of the team every time. Like we'd be at the league bowling, like with Millar and Babe Ruth, just cracking up, drinking beer, having a good time, and he's all like, "Dude, we've got to get fucking serious. Like, I know this is league bowling, but I really want that prize."
Here's the thing about bowling you tend to forget is the variations.
It's fucking great.
Well, the variations, especially even around here in Texas, isn't there like 9-pin bowling?
Yeah.
Or like 7-pin bowling?
That was outlawed actually at some point. I think Texas is the only one that still plays 9-pin bowling.
So like bowling in Canada, I think is like 6-pin or 5-pin bowling or something weird. Crazy, and it's a tiny little ball that you just palm it. It's so much fun, and it's way harder.
Speaking of Canada,
to get a strike.
So my bowling ball, I named it the Prime Minister. That's the name of my bowling ball.
You gotta name your ball. That is
the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister.
And my ball is red, white, and blue. So you think I would name it something after America? You would be mistaken. Prime Minister, go Canada.
The Union Jack is red, white, and blue.
Yeah. But to me, the Prime Minister, I love Canada, and Prime Minister just seems to fit perfectly with that. So I was like, you know what? This is the Prime Minister. He handles the business that he needs. That he seems fit.
Let's see here. There are 5 types of bowling. Did you know?
Like styles? Like there's like two-hand, there's like...
Well, no. I'm just saying like pin bowling. You got...
Oh, that's style. I thought you meant like
candle
the way
pin.
you bowl.
You got candle pins, you got duck pins, you got 10-pin. See, look, there's what candle pins look like.
Yeah, those things are weird.
Candle pin, duck pin.
I want a duck pin.
Like you can do anything. You can have any kind of...
We need to have a 3BGB
ancient
bowling
history.
tournament.
Classical.
That's what we need.
I think I need to do some more research on ancient bowling history, frankly. But, yeah, I don't know. Canada got a different program, and there's some of these old Texas clubs. Like, I think Seguin even has one. I know New Braunfels does, but they're like...
Do you know that the
So many weird.
The oil on the bowling, what do you call those lanes?
Yeah.
Wasn't originally a thing. It was by mistake. Well, not mistake, but so originally they didn't use oil. It was just like floor patterns, but because the balls would constantly like bang, 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 and go across, it would tear them up. So they started putting oil so they would slide better and not tear up the wood so much. And then it just became a thing. I like bowling. I know quite a bit about it, like whatever, but bowling is like amazing. So when we get our 3BGB bowling tournament, better be ready.
I know.
We gotta win.
These bowling clubs.
Like whenever I go to a new city, there's two things I look for: is a record store and then a bowling alley. I'm like, let's see if this city has a bowling alley. I want to go bowling with the locals here, see what's up.
I gotta find these. I gotta figure out what the Turner Club, Bracken Bowling Club. They got some weird Astro Super Bowl.
Like, what is the name of that bowling alley?
It's another rabbit hole. It's just like I can't find the Capitals de Quebec.
I will say Oak Hill Lanes.
Like 9 pin.
That's where my wife and I go. Is Oak Hill Lanes.
We do the Astro Bowl, but
that's a sick bowling alley.
I don't know.
We used to go to University Bowl of Days of Allah.
Historical 9 pin.
But they
bowling.
fucking whenever COVID happened, they fucking moved it. And I'm so pissed. It was the best bowling alley ever, but whatever. You know. And then don't go to the one on. Don't go to Bandera Bowl. It's they don't take care of it. It takes like 20 minutes for your ball to come back, and then sometimes you have to go to the counter like 3 times. Like, hey, can I have my ball back?
This is what it is.
Please?
It's this 9 pin bowling. It's crazy. They just do it. They got these old bowling clubs.
One of the greatest quotes of all time came from bowling. Who do you think you are? I am. You know what I mean? That's like Pete Weber is fucking badass. I would not fuck with him. He would still kick my ass even at his age. So, you know what I mean?
Kick all our asses, frankly.
Pete Weber ain't nothing to fuck with.
All right, let's go down my 9 pin rabbit hole. All right, I like where we're going with this. Your segments are always the best there, Dutch. So
I feel like in terms of like knowledge, how you guys are with like saber and stuff, I'm like that way with bowling. I know so much.
I fake most of my knowledge and I steal it from all the great. I stand on the shoulders of giants who did all the research. I just like to reread it and spout it. But
you're like, yeah, I figured this out on my own.
Saber, man, there's just so much good stuff out there.
Like,
all right,
I don't know if I'll ever be a two-handed bowler, but you know,
whatever works. All right, Shohei's on their bowl, and this team is stout. This is a very stout bowling team. Who else is after Shohei? Is that 6? That's 5, right?
Yeah, no, it's a 6-man team, me and 5 other guys.
Oh, okay. So it's you and 5 other guys. All right. I like that. That's a strong bowling team.
Now, are we allowed to smoke heaters in this place? Yes or no?
Absolutely. All old bowling alleys have to be smoking heaters.
Top of the 7th, Rays are up 8-3. It looks like we might be going 13-0.
Blew it out.
What's up, 87 Brewers? But
right.
I'm not saying it's over because we still have a couple more innings, but
that's a great segment, and it segues somewhat into my Yogi Berra stuff because we're going to talk about the Bear Rizzuto bowling lanes, and I am saying I am going to plant some bowling balls under my house for the next guy to find. Sounds like a good idea.
I'll autograph that fucking thing. So they find it like, dude, who's Turnstile? Who wants this ball here?
This will be a shorter Yogi Berra segment. So
you are the legend that was, is, and always will be.
Yogi greatness, man. So I just love Yogi Berra. Like some people aren't Yankees fans, and I get that, but there's just been so many great players that have been with that organization. It's a class organization by all accounts.
I like the players they've had, but as an organization, I don't care for them.
It's tough for me. It's like I like to see them lose. I guess that's how I feel. Like because they're just
I respect the franchise.
Yeah,
that's
they're just this legendary franchise. So it's kind of like every time you play them, it's an underdog story for whoever. But man, they've had some greats, and Yogi's one of them. And
that's like the Pirates with me. Like my team is the Rays, but as far as like historical teams go, I love the Pirates. That's
can't wait.
Their history's great.
Yogi Berra. I'm only going to tease 2 things that I'm recommending for people to check out. So, and it'll go like this. There's a documentary coming out called It Ain't Over, which looks awesome. And if I can find it, do the @ It Ain't Over. This is pretty much it. If I can get this up, if this shows up in OBS. This is coming out only in theaters. I'm not sure. Are they not going to stream it? That seems bogus if that's how you're going to do it. But I'll straight up go to a theater and see it. Yogi is coming to theaters in 1 month. That's kind of crazy. I wonder if they like just sold it to like Cinemark or somebody who has theaters.
I would assume, yeah.
It's going to be awesome. It's got all these film festivals.
It ain't over till...
But in that thread...
He just looks like a New Yorker, right?
Well, he's a St. Louis guy. And his history in St. Louis is really cool, too.
I wonder if the Cardinals ever tried to get a hold of him.
So that's an interesting story.
Of course, back then they would have been St. Louis
They
Cardinals.
did.
What would they have been back then? They would have been something else.
They did try to get a hold of him. So, they had the St. Louis Browns.
Yeah, the Browns, that's right. Yeah,
but it was the Cardinals were looking at him, scouting him, and his best friend, or one of his, he had many friends, but right across the street was Joe Garagiola. And the Cardinals signed Garagiola for like a $500 signing bonus, and they wanted to sign Berra too, but they didn't offer him the $500, and he was just like, "Man, that's kind of messed up. I think that's good. You're not going to give me $500." But the other story I heard about Berra's signing on how the Yankees got him was Branch Rickey was like an executive with the Cardinals at that time, and he saw Berra and liked him better, and somehow kind of like torpedoed St. Louis signing him because he had hoped to sign Yogi later. I don't know if he was going to the Yankees or Brooklyn or however that worked, but I heard Branch Rickey torpedoed it because he wanted to sign him. So he said, "No, get Garagiola, not Berra." I don't know how much of that is true, but how it was, the Cardinals flipping missed on the hometown guy and did sign with the Yanks and went through their minor league system. He did his military service in the minors, really, and he was at D-Day at Normandy on like a rocket ship and he was like giving like fire support, like rockets and all this stuff against the Nazis, like at Omaha Beach, which you don't really hear about that much, but that's crazy. So
it has a hell of a name.
Yeah,
Omaha Beach.
But so that'll be cool. But this particular tweet, which shows up like maybe like the fifth or sixth tweet down, as I was kind of looking at this, and like social media is like a double-edged sword. You can just blow so much time, but it's the Sports Illustrated article from way, way long ago. And so I clicked on it, full article. And there's maybe a 7 or 8 page article on Yogi Berra. And it's so great. I read this thing, and it talks about his bowling alley. And we can look at his bowling team. Here's who's on his bowling team. You got Phil Rizzuto, Elston Howard, Johnny Cucks, Ralph Hoke, and Gil McDonald is on Yogi's bowling team. But it talks about his like domesticated life with his wife Carmen in New Jersey and off days, and then it's got his boys here. He had 3 boys, but it is a very, very cool article, and you can find a link to it in that It Ain't Over thing. Here's Yogi when he was a little kid, batting right-handed, mind you.
Was he a lefty?
He's a lefty in the pros. But I was just going down some Yogi Berra rabbit holes. That's a really great article. It talks a lot about his Rizzuto, the Berra Rizzuto lanes. I was like, I wonder if there's pictures of that. And then I found all this stuff on eBay where you can get like coasters and stuff because they had like advertisements. But they sounded like some really nice, very nice bowling lanes there.
I bet that place was always busy.
But
especially being marketed by
right?
baseball players.
So that's some
it's not
fun.
Bad, $8.
Fun, yeah, right. Get a coaster. That's some fun.
It's a fridge magnet.
That's some. Oh, whoops. That's some fun. Let's go here to the Dale Berra, and I was like, I got into Dale Berra because like he had 3 boys, but Dale Berra made it to the show, and I don't really think it was nepotism. And Yogi said. This is like him playing Pac-Man and getting busted by Chuck Tanner. So that's Dale Berra. Here's Chuck Tanner. He's like, where is everybody? These sons of guns. They're in there playing 1970s Pac-Man.
How fucking dare you?
It was a hilarious commercial. Tanner's like, where the...
You guys should be practicing not playing Pac-Man.
Yeah. Here you go.
Look, Coach, I'm staying loose, all right?
Yep.
Doesn't matter how I do it.
So he grabs Atari right there.
Find stores throughout Pirate Baseball
That's
territory.
just good marketing by a local Atari salesman, frankly. But Dale Berra was a first-round draft pick, man, 20th overall. He was, and that's out of high school.
Dude, I love those yellow pants.
That's so great.
That's like Oakland, the Athletics, they had some yellow pants too back in like the 70s, I think it was.
But yeah, Dale Berra hit pretty good in the minors too. I think the reason I was on YouTube because I wanted to see if there was any highlights of Dale Berra because I think he was a really good glove. I think he was a phenomenal. And Yogi was crazy athletic too. What people didn't talk about was like Yogi was actually really fast, good base runner, and all this other stuff, good arm. But Dale was a first-round draft pick, third baseman, shortstop, and he was on the We Are Family 1979 Pirates that won the World Series. And had to come up and fill in an injury at shortstop, and did a great job. Hit 49 dingers in the show, and he got into issues with cocaine, as a lot of dudes in the 80s did, and that messed up his career. And he talks about that in his book. But your friends know you differently, Dutch, than does your family. So I'm pretty sure my boys are going to think I'm the biggest butthole in the world because I'm hard on them or whatever. And your family's just going to know you differently. And I don't think Yogi was one of those like overbearing parents like you got to play baseball. It's like you do what you want. And I've seen him talk about Dale. He's like, that was him. Like I didn't really mess with him at all. I just let him want to play baseball. I let him play baseball, and he figured out on his own how to be really good.
I do hate when parents force their kids to do stuff they don't want to do. Like you're going to learn piano.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
So
you shouldn't have to.
I think Dale Berra's athletic ability and getting drafted first was meritorious and not on account of Yogi like turning him into some prodigy. It just wasn't the way Yogi was. But Dutch Chattahoochee, if I can go to the Turnstile cam.
I will say this though.
Got me this. No, it's all
I didn't get that for you, but I brought it to the office.
Oh, it's not mine.
No, I brought it to the office.
You're never getting it back.
Well, that's fine. I'll just take it from you.
Nah. We'll leave it to you. You can do whatever you want with it, but I appreciate you bringing it up for me to check out. Cause
I know you're. Well, I saw it.
I'm a book nut.
Yeah, I saw that you were. I saw it like a while back, and I saw you were. I know you're a fan of Yogi, so I figured I'd pick it up.
Cool book. Dale Berra sounds like a cool dude. Not everybody has the same path in life, and a lot of dudes got wrapped up in that whole drug usage in the '80s.
I mean, it would been
certainly shortened his career.
It'd been hard to say no, like especially if you're around you. Like, I'll try it.
But man, put me in a time machine, Dutch, and take me back to the Rizzuto Berra bowling lanes, Umig bowl game.
Dude, that'd been so cool to go there.
There are actually, I can do one more thing because there were some images actually that showed how nice it was.
They have
Berra,
images, dude. It must have been slick, especially if it's two Major League Baseball players. They're not gonna have a shithole bowling lane.
That bar.
Yeah, like that looks classy as fuck.
Classy, man.
Like bowling alleys still have bars, but not like
front.
that.
Get that big bowling pin. That's where you walk in right there.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's not gonna.
What is that thing?
I don't know what that is. Swizzle sticks. I don't know, but
maybe
I tried to click on the link. You're always like at a hazard clicking on. Look, he's got computerized scorekeeping.
I will say those beat trying to write it down manually because I've tried to write down scores, like figure them out manually. I can't do it.
There's some cool. You can get some cool T-shirts with this logo. I guess people like. I don't know if they're paying Yogi, but
close.
That's a cool logo. You get coasters and T-shirts. I'm sure he's not getting any kickbacks, but maybe he is.
Yogi's still alive, right?
No, he died.
Oh,
sadly.
Shit. I thought he was still alive.
But here you go. Is this right here?
Look at those pants.
Right there. Watching 9 innings. But yeah, now it's like a Michaels.
That sucks.
But yeah, you can get all this stuff.
I think if I had the money, if I was like a billionaire, I would go to Michael's. Can I buy you out of this location and rebuild the bowling alley?
Yeah, right. But here's all you can get, like a hoodie. Look at that. That's sweet.
Kind of want one.
I know. It's pretty. Like if you're a baseball nut, that's pretty great. Here's him and Rizzuto. I love this picture of Yogi. This is such a cool picture of him just like tucking his thumbs into his jersey and him and Rizzuto yucking it up, having a great old time. They were roommates on the road. And Yogi had a tough time. I think the veterans rode him pretty hard, but by all accounts, Rizzuto was really cool with him as a roommate and helped him. And DiMaggio.
Little did they know what he would become.
He was pretty good, but he didn't really know how to catch that well until they had like Bill Dickey basically dedicate time to teaching him the finer points of catching, and he became one hell of a catcher, obviously. So anyway, 3-time MVP. That didn't just fall off trees, man. Yogi was one of a kind, amazing athlete, amazing player, and of course, American icon for all his amazing quotable stuff. But good, just a great dude. So
Yeah.
there's the Yogi Berra, Dale Berra. Check out the book, My Dad Yogi. Looks pretty awesome for Yogi Berra fans. And get in that time machine and go back to that bowling alley. What's this? There's like the gold shovel moment
Oh,
where they're gonna like build it. As a ball player, they didn't have like millions of dollars like they did today, so that might have been like a scary investment. Just like, this has got to work, man.
I don't know though,
really
because I
make
think
that much.
because bowling at the time was like baseball was balling.
Yeah,
So they probably realized we're gonna open this up and we're gonna make money on it.
make tons of money. He was so at this point in the article, this article here that I'm talking about, it talks a little bit. He's like kind of veteran. He's pretty set, and he has it talks about, because I do like some Yoo-Hoo. He had a big investment in the Yoo-Hoo chocolate drink company and did a lot of promo for them. But
Damn, top of the eighth, the Rays are up 9-3.
it's gonna happen. So yeah, Yogi had some business ventures. I think he did
I want to
well with.
crack
man.
open a cold PBR if we hang on to win this game.
Much like Bobby Valentine's restaurant. Guys apparently invented the wrap and was an amazing restaurateur. Did I say that word right? I don't know. There's the Yogi Berra segment. Last thing I got is just run down through some college baseball randomness, but I don't know what you think about that, bud.
I was not aware that they had a bowling alley.
Yeah, I thought
It's a
that
damn
was,
shame that they wasn't able to been like kept up by somebody and still be going.
there you go. And this is all historical, it's just baseball funness, but we'll get into some current events with the college stuff and take a run around there. That's pretty much what I got. I got my little notepad here, folks. Yep. One thing I don't know, which I'm trying to figure out, is the I don't know. Does the NCAA D1 selection, because I think Southern Miss and La Tech made it out of Conference USA last year. So is it like the regular season best record in conference gets a berth and the conference tournament winner? And that's why UTSA didn't get the at-large bid, because they're like, well, we already got two coming. So are those automatic berths, or it's just like you have to win conference in the conference tournament? It doesn't matter.
To me, what irks me is like not just in general, is like how you can win regular season conference champion, like you have the best record, but then you lose in the conference tournament and you can be missed out on, which is kind of weird.
I mean, because I got some bitterness about last year, mainly because I was a big UTSA fan and their resume was really strong and they were so hot. Yeah, they lost the championship game to La Tech in the conference tournament, but man, you'd hate to have matched up with those dudes.
Shout out to Texas State, who beat I think yesterday were ranked number 11 or 19. Yeah, they beat the Longhorns 9-3. So they split the series. It was a 2-game series, but they lost the first one and then they came back and won last night. Yeah, which was fucking cool. Go Bobcats!
I'm trying to figure
we are
out.
Sitting at what's our record? Oh, yeah, we are sitting at 21-13 on the year. So unfortunately, we're 6-6 in the conference, but that's
conference champions. And 33 teams leave at Sargent. So how do you get? So what's considered conference champion? Is it the tournament or is it I think it's just the tournament.
I think so.
And then
yeah,
Southern Miss is the one that got the at-large bid.
I don't know if you can say. Well, you can say we're regular season conference champions, but then the tournament. I think you could say both.
Champions.
You know? We lost in the tournament, but we were regular season champions.
I can't spell it, but Conference USA championship. So that's what I think it is. Last year,
Charlotte.
La Tech championship. So it is the tournament. So really it was. It was like Southern Miss got the at-large bid, really. And maybe like UTSA is like, dude, we beat Southern Miss, then we beat them in the tournament. I mean, they lost to, I think, 1 or 2, but I think UTSA is on top. They're 9-2. They did drop 1 to Charlotte, but there's DBU. So I mean, you just got to get into the tourney and you got to win that. And then you leave no doubt. Because UTSA gets screwed. That's what I kind of want to talk about is UTSA just gets screwed on selection committee stuff because like these Tuesday games are such a double-edged sword, man. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So if you beat a number 1 Stanford, selection committee don't give a damn. It's a Tuesday game. Who cares? But if you lose one, oh, snap, you lost to University Incarnate Word, who's pretty daggone good, by the way. So that fires me up a little bit. But UTSA having a hell of a year, and they did drop the Tuesday last week to Incarnate Word, but they beat A&M, which they'll get no credit for. So that sucks. But 25-8, that's hell of a year going, and there's not that much left in the season. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3. It's all conference. 4. Texas State next Tuesday.
Yeah, I was going to say, right here in San Antonio, too.
The Bird Bath.
I might have to roll it with my Texas State hat.
4,
you know what I'm saying?
6, 7.
Do I have anything going
9,
on Tuesday?
10, 11.
That'd be a sick
12,
game
13,
to go to.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 1, 22. Well, I guess we're halfway through the season. They got 22 games left.
and
So
I'm daring one of the UTSA fans to say something to me.
I don't know, man. I mean,
I'm not gonna fight, but like if they say some mess, but
you're gonna fight. You're just gonna go out the parking lot, and duke it out. But
I mean,
no, dude, people are cool. Birdbath's a great place to watch a game, but facilities need to be severely upgraded, frankly, for how good your baseball team is.
What's the worst
and
part
all your
of it?
athletics at Conference USA. Here's just for example. Let's look at Cal State Fullerton's same color. Cal State Fullerton's baseball facilities, because I was there when I was like a toddler. I was like 2nd grade.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, because we lived in Anaheim. Baseball field, which is probably Augie Garrido Field. Let's see if we can get some images on that.
I mean, it'll never be as good as Stanky Field.
Let's see how nice it is. This looks pretty doggone nice. Upgrade. More on.
Dude, you know who has a sick baseball facility? Is University of Kentucky. Holy shit.
So there's
dude.
your facilities at the Cal State Fullerton. I don't know if you can see the grandstand. But there we go. What's that? Cal State Fullerton's baseball upgrades are already winners, so they're going to do something there. But that's it, right? So that's a quote-unquote commuter school. I mean, they have probably a little bit more money because it's like Los Angeles taxes or whatever, or California taxes. But, you know, you tell me a commuter school can't go to the College World Series and win it, I would say look at Augie Garrido's record when he was at Cal State Fullerton, because I think he won 3.
That's considered a community college?
Well, commuter school. I mean, it's a full 4-year university,
yeah.
But you're not UCLA.
Yeah.
You know, you're part of the UC, or you're part of the Cal State system, and you're not like a major like Cal or that kind of thing. So Fullerton, I mean, UTSA needs to upgrade their stuff, but that's kind of what's going on. They beat the Aggies, which was a heck of a game. If you want to look at that box score, so many contributors in Hallmark. Man, this dude can recruit some graduate transfers. Man, let me tell you what: Josh Kleen, Taylor Smith, Big Nasty Strashny 2 for 5, Antonio Valdez slamming Sammy Diaz with a bibby 1 for 3, and then you got Matt King, guy's athlete. Isaiah Walker, dude, he is okay. Isaiah Walker can play anywhere for you, by the way. That dude was playing infield in the Texas Collegiate League last year. He was a shortstop. He appeared some shortstop last year for the Roadrunners, 2 for 4. But man, he made some amazing plays in that Charlotte game. And you got great pitching, and I would argue that's why I think I really like. There's Luke Samuel. I really like UTSA pitching. So that's that. Took down the Aggies. Nothing against A&M, but go Runners. Now, to your boys, Texas State, some of my favorites up there as well. Because Augie Ramirez had 2 doubles in the Texas game. And I got to see one of them. And the one thing that stood out to me in that one, if you guys like have the Longhorn Network, is, dude, he roped a double.
I mean, Peyton Lewis went 3 for 5, so that was was pretty good too.
And I think Augie didn't start. I think he was like a pinch hitter. Where's the UT game? There it is. Win-loss. This was the Tuesday game. Oh, so they lost at home. So I didn't realize that it was the Monday game. But box score, so this is the different box score. I want the other one. The center fielder was like way shallow, dude. He was over behind the shortstop. I was like, dude, Augie has like 8 homers or something. And you're just like camping out. Where's Augie? Yep, 2 for 3, 3 RBIs. Just roped one to like deep left center, basically straight away center, but it was kind of off to the side. And I was like, man, this center fielder, where are you playing, bro? Respect Augie Ramirez. But good ball club there. They're doing good. What's their record? They're 21-13. I mean, they're going to be an at-large team. They're going to have to win some conference stuff. They got some players.
I see them going back to the playoffs for sure.
I mean, they can play anybody. They got that kind of players, just like UTSA, in my opinion. So you never know how these shake out. Always comes down to pitching usually, but they got a great lineup.
Pitching is like
players.
Is like defense in football, man. Without great pitching, it doesn't matter who you have on offense.
Yeah.
Because if your pitcher's giving up 5 runs a game and you can only manage 3 runs, whatever. But you know what I mean.
I was watching, so if we go to D1 ranking, I was watching a Tennessee-Florida game, which was kind of hilarious because the umpire told them to stop talking shit to each other.
You know what I was watching the other day, too?
What's that?
Cricket.
Cricket?
Because it's a lot like baseball I was watching, and it's kind of cool because like you can either like throw it or you can like bounce it. And then it's like depending where the ball lands, where you hit it, that's how many points you get. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this isn't super hard to understand, but it kind of is at the same time. But
so there's your rankings.
Look at those SEC teams.
Where's that? It's weird how they do it. They just put it off to the side, and there's just nothing but articles. You can't do the RP.
It's like that's an afterthought. The rankings.
This is like strength of schedule, I guess. South Carolina took it to LSU, and as far as I at least saw one score, and that didn't even move the needle. So maybe LSU won some other ones, but Campbell keeps getting ranked. I don't know if they have like a bunch of first-round draft picks. Where do this is RPI. It doesn't have the. They don't have. That's just the RPI rankings. But anyway, there it is. TCU made it into top 25. Arizona State. You say Tech doing it. Texas schools doing it. Tech's always got good baseball. What's up, Lubbock? Coastal Carolina's been hanging out in the top 25. So is Florida Gulf Coast and Campbell. Everything else is just like SEC. Boston College is the one kind of like East Coast aberration. Stanford, it's all the love, all those first-round draft picks they get up there. Vandy, Florida, Wake Forest. Interesting to see. Rankings mean nothing till the end of the year. That's what matters. But that's where you're at. Let's talk about Angelo State. What do you know about San Angelo, Dutch?
I don't know nothing. I'm aware of the school. I don't know anything. Isn't that the Rams, right? The Rams?
Yeah, they're the Rams.
I worked with when I worked at HEB. I worked with a couple people that was their school they went to. Was San Angelo. That's all I know is they're the Rams.
So this is the Lone Star Conference, which my understanding is NCAA Division II. If I'm not mistaken, Division II. So this is it. 31-5. My old school. One of my many old schools is Lubbock Christian is in here somewhere. They're not horrible this year. But there's Angelo State, 31-5. If you go to statistics, they'll have team statistics. And wow, total like the numbers for these dudes isn't like they're not off the chart on stuff. They're batting average, but they're like on base. Their hit by pitch is an interesting statistic to me. That you have that many more dudes getting hit by pitcher, that you're leading in hit by pitch, because we were taught the great last in junior college to not get out of the way. Take it.
Take your base.
If you jumped out of the way of a fastball, you got pulled out of the at bat Coach Abney wasn't playing around. This is like, dude, you stay. We need base runners. You stay there and take it like a flipping man. And so it's interesting to me that I was like, Angelo State, how about that? These dudes are awesome. They're also leading in hit by pitch. Very low strikeouts. And I was like, they might have a high level of discipline there. So I was like, let's go see what's going on at that program. So you go do some Angelo State Rams baseball, man.
Got that old school looking A, like the athletics.
And I think their head coach deserves some run. These are all the dudes on the team. There's some studs down there. They put a lot of dudes have been drafted. At the bottom of your roster, you're going to have Kevin Brooks, man. Look at this guy. Never had a losing record. Started. This is the man right here. If you're looking for some good baseball, that's a hell of a program this dude's put together. And he's got his whole bio, bounced around doing the assistant coach thing, and was their first head coach by the numbers. 0 losing seasons. And his first season was, this ain't like yesterday. He has a 341 wins, 170 losses. And I want to say, when was the first year? First year he coached. 2005 was the first year. So he's been there since 2005. Started out 30-25. By the numbers, 0 losing seasons, 4 NCAA World Series appearances. I hope they get one. Hope they get a title. 635 wins as a head coach, which doesn't necessarily jive with. That's his Lone Star Conference record. No, so I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe it doesn't have 635 wins. 49 players advanced to the pros, 125 Rams conference, 25 All-American selections. But look at that. Look at those records, man. A couple of years is pretty close to being 500. But still.
And 41-16 back in 06.
Like last year, they were amazing. 51-14. That's a 50-win season. That doesn't just happen. I guess it's only 50-win season.
How come they're never mentioned? Like, you would think 51 wins of only 14 losses would be more pushed as far as like a storyline goes, you know?
I mean, you're in San Angelo, which isn't, New York City. He has another 50-win season, 51 there. But, man, good baseball program happening out there. Let's look at some dudes this year. Where the stats at? Who's their leader? And they're kind of, you could tell, it's just like a good lineup all the way up and down. Everybody's got good power, a lot of doubles, high average dudes. So probably have some nasty pitchers. Let's look at their pitching.
I feel like I'm watching the World Series right now. I'm playing for this game to be over so we can be 13-0.
Just what's the score now?
Top of the ninth, 9-3.
Oh, you got it, dude.
We have 1 out, and the count right now is 1-2.
You're at home though, right?
Yeah,
we just got to get 2 more outs.
We're at Tropicana Field.
There you go. So, looks like you got a dude 9-0 with a flipping 0.33 ERA.
It's
54
weird.
innings pitched and 71 strikeouts. So that guy might be somebody we need to look at, Cade Bragg.
They just need to round off ERA. Like, how do you get half an ERA? I don't understand. How do you get half a 1? You laid a guy on base or what?
He's got some nice flow with the locks.
Okay.
Lefty, too. I wonder if this guy's going to get picked up. His career stats. It's the same web company that does the stats for all these dudes. It's kind of nice that it's consistent because a lot of them aren't.
Cade Bragg.
So got like season by season, 23. I don't know. Anyway, Angelo State Baseball, something to know about in Texas, something to know about nationally. That's a good program, good coach down there. And that's my college baseball roundup from Anthony Turnstile, Texas Tony Turnstile. Some of these dudes, it's all about getting ready for the Seguin River Monster season and just figuring out new graphics. Figure out some new graphics, swipes, player stats. I don't know. Should I pull that thing up that we were looking at this morning? If anybody knows anything about OBS stinger transitions, check this shit out. This looks so great. Where do we go? Sports stingers transitions.
Ooh, 2 outs. 2 outs. We're 1 out away. The guy that's batting right. Oh, shit. Oh, he got it. I guess the guy got on base or something.
Where was it? It was on.
It's 9-3. I'm over there freaking out. I'm like, I hope we can hold on to win.
I think it was this thing. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't have it. You can go to this thing. But see, then it also had. This is the one that looked sweet. I don't know. This is what we're trying to figure out. This show's basically over. Plus, if you made it this far, you've won. We'll put on some tunes for you. And I'm out. Call the hotline or whatever. We'll talk about whatever you want. But this would look so sick on Ian Rivermoss. If Mike G ever sees this, look at this.
That's just Impact Sports. That just looks just like the Impact Wrestling logo.
Does it?
Yeah, sort of.
But you can do all this cool swipes in OBS, I think. I don't know. But this is what we're trying to figure out, man.
Going back to the old swamp with this one. This is a
be
throwback.
Be professional.
Right here. Josh Sanders, huh?
Yeah, I don't know, but like this would be the one that I really like is so you do River Monsters versus whoever, that would look sweet, and then when the player comes up,
because you could like instead of having the stock images,
Dutch
obviously,
Chattahoochee, yep.
You could have game footage.
Yeah, we pull footage of dudes. We could do like before we could do like green screen and film them and use it. Honestly, it'd be so cool.
Oh yeah, like a cool little animated like swinging the batter.
Yeah, like where's the one with the guy? Right, like right there. You got the stats. Like that's sweet. That would be nice to have batting averages for dudes. But if anything, like I don't want to download these because it's like 17 comments. Yeah. 5 years ago. What the F? $32. Yeah. And then it's licensed, so I don't really even know. Like, they're like going to come back like, we want $100 because you're using it for TCL. Like, F that. But that's the show, folks. Great top 5, Dutch Chattahoochee. Thanks to everybody for tuning in.
It was a good show. Got to talk a little bit.
We made it up to 6 viewers at one point in time for almost a few minutes.
That's a reason to celebrate and get have a couple cold ones. Doesn't have to be alcohol cold ones, just cold ones in general.
Let's put up our favorites. Put up our favorite images of these young lads in large. Got you covered up. I don't know, man. It's good stuff.
What's up, bitches? We're 13-0. The Rays won 9-3. They beat Boston.
I'm saying
13-0.
I'm saying you have got to a level of confidence where people are like, well, we have to lose. They have to lose at some point. And they're like, no, we don't. We can win every game that we step on the field. It's not going to happen.
You know why we can win? Offensive juggernaut, pitching studs. I mean,
AL East, NL Central get pretty tough sometimes, but
especially like last couple of years with Toronto, and obviously the Yankees are always tough.
It's a lot of big spenders. You got Red Sox and Yanks to compete with, and they're pulling out the checkbook every time. And then the Rays are always competitive, or the Jays are always competitive. So
we do have
Baltimore is like, if they decide to not suck, which, you know, rooting for Jake Whalen and MILB Hat Billy, Baltimore is going to have a good year. They got some good prospects, and that's a tough one.
We do have an upcoming series with the Blue Jays, so it's going to be a test. It's going to be a test.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in the show. Big shout out to, let's go find the Internet Baseball Writers Association of America.
I'm just saying it feels good to be 13-0. Start the season hot. You know, get that lead. Jump out way in front. So if you do have some struggles, you can recover.
Let's go like this, and then we'll go here. Move this right here.
I want to see if I can get a chain made like this of other teams. I should ask the missions where they got these made, because this would be sick.
Yeah.
Right, to have other teams you can wear.
I like it. I love it. And it's not heavy on your neck, so it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
IBWAA. I made it. I made it, Mom. Images. Let's get their logo up. There it is, man. I made it, Mom. Substack. Is that their big logo? How do you get that? Look at that. There it is, folks. Made it to the promised land of the IBWAA. And the perks that you get are many. You're known everywhere you go, every Major League Baseball stadium. You flash that IBWAA card, it's just VIP access.
Can I have a question though?
Yeah.
you said you get perks and stuff.
It's endless.
Do you get a discount on Terra Tots from Sonic?
Free.
Because that would be the deal for me. Like, I can get free tots. Sign me up. You know what I mean?
This is the pass. There's the website. This is the pass to lifetime member. Basically, I can fly free, I might add. I can fly free to Riyadh, and the royal family literally rolls out a red carpet. And I'm fed grapes, and it's awesome. And you get to know all the awesome baseball people.
How do you get approved to be in their little club?
It is a
process.
It is a exhaustive, painful, rubber glove process to get into the IBWAA. Frankly, I'm not saying it's on par with the Nobel Prize. I think it's more difficult and more exclusive.
It's above it.
It's above that. There is psychological testing. There's physical. There's a physical testing. There's an aptitude test. There's a baseball knowledge test.
If I remember correctly, you had to run across a coal of hot fire.
There's a lot of running. There's a lot of fire. To prove yourself to these men and women who are already in the IBWAA and have their blood, sweat, and tears to make it to that elite club, they're not going to make it easy for you coming in. But if you do want to go to their website and join, you can pay $75 and do it that way. So I went the hard way. I went the exclusive Nobel Prize submission route. But I'm not, and this might just be a me thing, I'm not saying you get access to Lambos and Lamborghinis and basically whatever you want wherever you go. That's been my experience. That's been my experience at Lamborghini dealerships.
But you're also not saying that you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that will happen to every IBWAA member, but like when I go to Sabre Chicago 51, I mean, I'm going to flash that at the local, Sabre or the Lambo dealership, and I'll be driving away in a brand new Lambo.
So from this
for
point
the
forward,
few days.
does that mean I'm riding your coattails because I'm not a member?
I mean, you can go on there and encourage people to become members. It is a great organization, but much like Henry Hill at the Copacabana in the movie Goodfellas, being IBWAA member opens doors. Big time. So there it is. Special thanks to everybody who shows love to 3BGB and all the weirdness we're doing down here.
Shout out to the people that was listening today. Trey.
Thanks, Trey.
Hat Billy.
Thanks, Hat Billy.
Bonnie.
Thanks, Bonnie.
And whoever else that was listening that wasn't in the chat that we weren't aware of.
Yeah.
Shout out to you dudes, too. Dudes or dudettes, whatever you want to call them.
IBWAA, all the people at the International Crime Court in The Hague, and Nobel, the Nobel Foundation that worked together reviewing my application. Thank you so much.
Shout out to the homies in the balcony.
Homies in the balcony,
and,
ATG, and everybody.
When in doubt, put some pepper on
Seguin River Monsters, Mike G. Scotty B is going to be in the state of Texas, and that's cause for celebration. So can't wait. Leave message to this phone number that you see in the middle of the night. It will be talked about on the next show. All right, I'm going to push get out of here on this little end stream, wherever that button might be.
Twins.
Whoop. See you next time, folks.
Go Rays.
Bam.